2 pilots have been killed after their firefighting plane crashed over the Greek island of Evia. Footage shows the plane dropping water onto a blaze before falling to the ground and bursting into flames. The Greek Defence Ministry has announced a 3-day mourning period for the armed forces. The country's been battling dozens of intense wildfire. Well, the deadly heat waves gripping North America, Europe and China would be virtually impossible without human-induced climate change. That's according to a new study from an international team of scientists at the World Weather Attribution Initiative. This month's extreme weather is worsening droughts and contributing to countless wildfires, and there's little relief in sight.
Across the world, climate change is being felt like never before. Record-breaking temperatures and unprecedented rains are unleashing devastation on humans and nature alike. Algeria is battling to contain an inferno that has already killed dozens of people. The fire is ravaging forests and olive groves. Thousands of families have already been evacuated from their homes. Those who make it back often return to find nothing left.
All my life. You can see here. There's nothing anymore. The house is gone.
I've never seen anything like this before in my life. The fire was spreading so quickly. It surrounded us. The tree nearby was on fire. The house next door, too. I carried my kids and escaped with my neighbor.
Fanned by strong winds, the blaze has now spread to neighbouring Tunisia, forcing the closure of 2 border crossings. Halfway across the Mediterranean in Sicily, an airport was shut down overnight as fires burned around its perimeter. While southern Italy is aflame under the unrelenting heat, the north is grappling with storms and torrential rain. Over the weekend, a tornado ripped across Milan. Videos posted on social media showed a dramatic hailstorm, followed by an icy torrent swarming through the waterlogged streets of a nearby town. 2 women were killed, crushed by falling trees.
At first, I thought it was a simple thunderstorm. I looked outside, and the sky was all white. It was an apocalyptic scene.
Thousands of kilometres away in India, record monsoon rains have caused roads to cave in and homes to collapse. More than 100 people have already been killed in the north of the country in the past 2 weeks alone. While India is deluged, the Caribbean is smouldering. Temperatures in Cuba have surged to a record high of 39 degrees this month. The heat is made worse by the persistent lack of rain. Scientists expect the world's climate to become even more unpredictable, and the immediate reduction of emissions is the only viable solution. But until that happens, scenes like these are likely to become the new normal.
Isidine Pinto is a climate scientist at the Royal Netherlands Meteorological Institute in Utrecht. Welcome to DW. The message does seem to be getting out there, but I think it's still worth covering the basics. How does a global warming by a couple of degrees lead to the devastating heat waves and wildfires that we've seen more frequently these days?
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, when we say that the global mean surface is increasing by a few degrees, it doesn't mean that in every place of the world we're going to see this same increase of 1 degree. In some parts of the world we might see more than 1 degree of increase. That's in this case in Europe we saw that the heat wave was made 2.5 degrees more intense that it would have been without climate change. So these has very negative impacts for health and for the biodiversity. So that's why we see small increases at the global mean surface temperature. We see large increases at the regional level.
I see. And why are we seeing these wildfire events in so many areas at the same time?
Yes, the wildfires, when there's a perfect weather conditions for wildfire to continue days within days, and these perfect weather conditions are dry soils, heat, and wind. And these are the type of weather that we are currently seeing in the past few days and in the past few years in many regions of the world. And the last climate report by the IPCC have found that this type of weather conditions might increase in the future, and that we might likely see this type of fires happening worldwide in many parts.
Right. So do governments and municipal planners in affected areas now need to proactively plan for dealing with these massive wildfires?
Yes, definitely. Municipal governments need to plan for this type of weather conditions that might be very good for fires to expand in several regions.
And so what might they do?
Well, I'm not sure what they might do. Yeah, that's a very complicated question for me as a climate scientist.
You're not a town planner, fair enough. The 2015 Paris Climate Agreement calls on governments to limit the increase in the global average temperature to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. The various of the reports that have been out there say that we are going to miss that. So is it now too late? Are we just going to fry?
No, it's not too late. So we still have a chance to decrease greenhouse gases, so we can try and reduce the global mean surface temperature at least below 2 degrees Celsius, because after that we're going to see local impacts being more dangerous, especially for biodiversity in many places.
OK, but it's not too late, but we aren't doing enough. So in your heart of hearts, do you really think that this is now out of control and it's going to get a lot worse?
I believe that if we all come together and reduce greenhouse gases and do energy transitions, we might. So I'm hopeful that we might adverse these situations. But there are other colleagues that are not that hopefully that we might limit the global mean surface temperature between below 1.5 degrees Celsius. But I hope.
Let's hope your optimism and hope wins out. Thanks for joining us. Climate scientist Isidine Pinto.
Pleasure.